Hey there, and welcome. So you're thinking about renting in the UK? Awesome. But you've probably already noticed there's a ton of specific lingo for different rental agreements. Well, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down and give you the essential info you absolutely need.
And look, if you're feeling a bit lost, that's completely normal. All the jargon around tenancies, words like short hold, assured, and HMO, it can really feel like you're trying to get through a maze with no map. It's confusing for sure, but it's also super important to understand.
But don't you worry, that's what we're here for. Think of this as your roadmap. We're going to break down the most common types of rental agreements, what they actually mean for you as a tenant, and the fundamental rights that are there to protect you.
All right, let's get you prepared. First, we'll dive into the two most common agreements. Then, we'll look at the specific rules for shared houses. After that, we'll cover your non-negotiable rights as a tenant. And finally, we'll walk through exactly how a tenancy is supposed to end.
Okay, first up, assured versus short-hold tenancies. Seriously, pretty much every modern private rental agreement you come across is going to be one of these two, so getting your head around this is kind of the first big step. Let's kick things off with the big one, the Assured Short-Hold Tenancy, or just AST. You're going to hear that acronym a lot. Basically, since way back in 1997, any new private tenancy is automatically an AST, unless the landlord says otherwise in writing. The whole point of it was to give landlords a straightforward way to get their property back after an initial period.
On the flip side, you've got the full assured tenancy. Now, these are way rare for new private rentals these days, but wow, they offer a huge benefit: long-term security. With one of these, you have the right to stay in the property unless the landlord can actually prove to a court that they have a specific legal reason for eviction.
So what you're seeing here is a really clear trade-off. The Assured Short-Hold Tenancy, the AST, it's flexible, right? But the power really sits with the landlord to end things pretty easily. A full assured tenancy, though, that flips the script. It shifts the power to you, the tenant, giving you some real, genuine stability. So when you're looking at a place, knowing which agreement they're offering tells you a whole lot about your future there.
Right, let's switch gears and talk about shared living. Renting with other people is super common, but guess what? It brings its own set of rules and a key acronym that you absolutely need to know: HMO.
So, what on earth is an HMO? It stands for House in Multiple Occupation, and the definition is actually pretty simple. If you've got 3 or more people living in a property who aren't a single family unit, and they're all sharing a kitchen or a bathroom, then chances are it's an HMO.
And you can really see the difference in practice here. Think about a typical student let with your friends. You'll probably all be on one single contract, which means everyone is equally on the hook for the rent. But in a licensed HMO, you'll probably have your own individual agreement just for your room. Now here's the key takeaway. Licensed HMOs have to follow much stricter safety rules set by the local council, which gives you an extra layer of protection.
Okay, so we've covered the types of agreements. Now let's talk about the rights that apply to you no matter what kind of tenancy you have. These are your absolute non-negotiables. Let's start with your money, because it's important. If you have an assured short-hold tenancy, your landlord is legally required. They have to put your deposit into a government-backed protection scheme within 30 days. This makes sure your money is safe and that any disagreements at the end are handled fairly. It's basically your financial safety net.
And just like your money is protected, so is the place you're living in. Your landlord is responsible for keeping the property in good shape. We're talking about the structure, the outside, and all the essential stuff like heating and hot water. It is so crucial to remember this is not something you should ever have to pay for yourself. And finally, along with financial and physical security, you have a right to privacy. Your home is your home. Now, landlords can enter the property for things like inspections or repairs, but they can't just show up whenever they feel like it. They have to give you at least 24 hours notice in writing, and the visit has to be at a reasonable time. This protects your right to, actually live peacefully in your own home.
Okay, we're on to our final section. Let's talk about how a tenancy ends. Honestly, understanding this process from both sides can take away a lot of the stress that comes with moving house. So if you decide you want to leave after your first fixed contract is over, your tenancy will probably become what's called periodic. Basically, it's a rolling month-to-month deal. In that case, leaving is usually pretty straightforward. You just need to give your landlord at least 1 month's notice in writing. But always, always double-check your agreement for the exact rules.
Now, let's look at it from the landlord's side. For an assured short-hold tenancy, they have a no-fault way to get the property back called a Section 21 notice. This means they have to give you a minimum of 2 months written notice. The most important thing here is that there is a formal, legal process. They can't just text you and ask you to be out by tomorrow.
And please, if you take away one thing from this whole section, let it be this. Your landlord cannot change the locks or physically force you to leave. Even after a notice period ends, they must apply to a court for something called a possession order. Trying to evict a tenant without one isn't just wrong, it's an illegal offense.
So what does this all boil down to? It's simple, really. Understanding these fundamentals, the type of tenancy you have, your rights to repairs and privacy, and the proper legal processes, that's what empowers you. It's the key that lets you navigate the rental market with real confidence.
And I'll leave you with one final thought. What is the single most important document in this entire process? It's your tenancy agreement. Make sure you read it, you understand it, and you keep it somewhere safe. It's the official rule book for your home. Thanks so much for joining me.